Morning guys, Moorhuhn here. Today I just want to talk a bit about my Stormbolt Druid. For that we will just run one quick Solarum Ascent and then I will talk of the build a bit, we will fight a dragon and yeah, that's pretty much it. I just want to give an overview of what the build is doing, what I am doing, how I've been exploring the build. This is not exactly a guide, which will come at a later point with way more insight into the specific items and everything. You can see this is at around 600 corruption, like 590 or something. So we're just here to check for an exile mage or a nemesis, which I have been farming in these areas a lot. Just 1, 2, 3 runs, we don't know, until we find either an exile mage or a nemesis, which should be fairly quick to do. As you can see, the clear in around 600 still is very good. I have min-maxed the character to quite a point, however, you can get similar damage results with way less investment. This is completely played on Circle of Fortune, but with quite a few hours. I reached level 100 yesterday in about like 30 hours playtime or something. So the character did level extremely fast. Well, we're actually done with some empowerment here. Had a lot of fun with it and will min-max it a lot more. But I wanted to showcase it now before I go into the real extremes of the build, because what's coming up is going to be a lot more difficult to get of what I currently have. So let's quickly take down a dragon and then I will show what I'm up to with the build. Because I have taken some different steps of what other builds have done. Because most of the builds on the leaderboard doing this type of build are running a very attunement heavy road, which I don't. And I will explain why more precisely in the guide, but the general idea is the strength stacking variant has similar damage output, maybe a little less, but is way more tanky. I can phase tank most of Aberrath spells, very little issues with most of them. I will post an Aberrath kill later on as well, but for this I just want to do some small content here. So as you can see, this as well is around 600 corruption, I do believe, like 550 or something, so the boss damage still is very, very good. At first the build started out as an auto bombers type character, which it still is, but for auto bombers usually the single target is fairly low and the clear is very good. For this it's somewhat different, because while the clear is good, it is not as good as on other builds, but the single target is very good and the survivability during boss fights is extremely good. Actually, the survivability during boss fights is a lot better compared to during clear, so we can get away with tanking a lot of boss abilities, but during clear it can be a little overwhelming and you might die here and there on higher tier content. So the idea why I was running strength instead of attunement was, as I said, because I wanted more armor, and currently I'm sitting at over 10k armor with like 2,500 watt and 3,500 health. And Dune's threshold of nearly a 2k in beer form. Like we sit at 1.8k endurance with 60%. So overall very, very high hit pool, kept resistances, nearly good health pool, good ward pool, and while casting in human form we generate a lot of ward as well. We have leech, we have 400 health rack, and yeah. Overall, very, very well-rounded build, I would say, especially for a druid, because I'm complaining about the druid a lot, but this build has been great fun and did everything I wanted it to. There still is a lot of room for me to min-max, which I will do in the future. For example, my idol setup is not perfect currently, because I should drop the health idols for more damage idols, should copy this and put it up here, with the small ones here or something, and just drop some health because I don't need as much health anymore. But yeah, currently I'm just trying to min-max more for damage. For the defensive or like, not for the defense, for the weapon options, you have quite some choice, which we will explore in a second. Because I was testing around with staves, with wand and offhand catalyst combos. You can also use other combos with shields or other one-handed. You can use wands, scepters, swords, all work fairly well. With swords especially, there is quite a cool setup with the rainbow edge. However, Polaris is a very good option as well, and transcribers too. These two are farmable at 4 LP, and transcribers is farmable at 3 LP, which all form great options for the build. Then one of the main reasons why I did start out with strength stacking was the Oceanus Sphere. This item is extremely strong, and I do feel like extremely underrated, because it also comes with 3 LP very often, and has the great ability of Water Orbs cast, which boosts lightning damage. And you can get 9 Water Orbs cast constantly out, which means you get 270% increased damage from your Oceanus Sphere, have lightning damage in the implicit as well, gain mana, a lot of resistances, and all you have to do is just not scale attunement. Because you can just pick up these 5 here, and then there's some more attunement you have to take. But overall, you don't need a lot of attunement, and just go for the strength nodes, and then you can just, with one item, like these gloves with like 1 tier 6 intelligence roll, you can balance intelligent and attunement and gain the full benefit of Oceanus Sphere, which will boost you through your entire early game. This item is so extremely strong, and I did very recently replace it only when going to very like min-max gear and changing from a pure health setup to the hybrid setup because of the nice synergy between Twisted Heart of Icarus and Wall of Nothing, which is an armor I still am exploring a lot, and like trying to get a lot of rolls on and looking for a good 2 LP one and stuff. But currently I just run a 1 LP mana version, which works best for me because I don't have mana on my stave. The important part for your mana is that you have enough mana to cast tornadoes until your transform is ready again. So you want to transform, cast, and currently the problem is I don't have enough. And then when your human form is ready again, your mana should be about empty, and you want to transform and gain back all your mana. That's the play cycle during bosses of the build. For clear, you just run through, your rage is self-regenerating on hits, so you just have enough. For the other items, you just want rares. I've built the, until like 300 corruption, I ran completely on rares and the Oceanus, which was enough to carry me. So all you need is just like armor, strength, health, and that's pretty much it. Cooldown recovery can be very good to to switch between forms, get your Warcry up quicker, so cooldown recovery has a high priority. Other than that, you just want cast speed, spell damage, crit multiplier, everything. You don't need crit chance really, because the Warcry and the Beer form will crit cap you. With crit here and Warcry crit, you gain enough percentage crit, because you gain 1 base percent crit for your how it's called, Stormbolts per Maelstrom stack, and in fight we constantly do have 15 to 20 Maelstrom stacks, so we have like 25% base crit, sometimes even more, so we usually are at crit cap without much investment. That's why you don't really need crit. You get some from the tree anyways to get like health leech and stuff like that, and gain crit here as well for rage gain on crit. So you don't really have to worry about crit, you just stack crit multi. Then you just want 1 armor mitigation applies to damage over time mod, so that your high armor is just very effective for damage over time as well. On the amulet or the gloves you want armor shred, which is a very important mod to the build, because you have a lot of hits, just 100% armor shred can get you up to 100 plus armor shred stacks, which is very, very strong. And that's pretty much the build. You can check my character. I will put a link to my current character in the comments or in the description. And you can just go through the timeline on the ladder to check different iterations of the build. I will put some examples there as well, so you can switch between them and see, okay, when to use which items. However, one thing I want to mention is that Excited Bolts was a node I was experimenting with a lot. So there's a lot of iterations where I don't have this equipped, even though you should have. This one is extremely good, just never take it out. I was confused for a while and thought it didn't work with Rage, which it does, very important, it does work with Rage. So this is extremely good, very strong multiplier, and makes stacking mana extremely valuable. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask, obviously. There will be a very, very detailed guide coming up in the next couple of days when I figure out what I want to do, because I want to farm some red rings and very strong bodies, more LP here, and like just better gear. And then I want to make an overview of like where to start, where to go, where to end, and everything. Also want to fix my other setup and everything. So yeah, I hope I could help you and show you a pretty cool build already. If you want to know more, subscribe, like. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next time.